Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're painting a bear. We're gonna paint this bear without doing any drawing first. We're just gonna dive right in with paint. So let's give it a go. Okay, what you'll need for this project is pretty simple. You just need some paint colors. I have my Daniel Smith and Holbein watercolor paints right in front of me, and I'll tell you what color I'm using as I use them. I've got my water jars. I have a silver black velvet size 8 round brush, some paper towel, and my paper, this is important. Your paper is probably the most important thing you can purchase to make sure that you have a successful painting. The paper is 100% cotton. That's the #1 factor that can make or break your painting. This is a cold pressed finish, which means it has a little bit of texture, a little bit of bumps to it. And I love that for doing a lot of wet and wet because it stays wet a little bit longer than hot pressed paper. If you want to know more about watercolor paper and surfaces, check out this video. This is my favorite. It's Fabriano Artistico 140-pound cold pressed cotton watercolor paper. This is a 5x7-inch block. And with blocks, it just means that the sides are glued down, except for this one little corner where you can remove the paper. And that makes it so much easier to work with wet and wet because it stays flat, it doesn't buckle or warp with lots of water. So once you have a nice surface and you have your paints all ready, just take a big breath. We're gonna dive in with water and paint without doing any sketching first. Now the good news is we're just painting the bear's big floofy head, and so it's a pretty simple shape. It's mostly just a round shape. So a couple things I want to point out in the reference photo. You can see a clear triangulation between the 2 ears and the nose. And the eyes are going to be exactly in the middle of that triangle. So those are some really good points of reference for you to just get started so that you're not so scared by the drawing part. Okay, to start out, we're going to do the big floof of the head, the big round shape. So I'm starting by dipping my brush in my water. And I'm going to swirl it around on the paper in a circular shape. I'm just going to avoid kind of the center of the face for now because that's where the muzzle of the bear is going to be. And I want to leave that white. Now, the key here is going to be to extend your water beyond where you even want to put the edges of your bear's fur. The reason for that is that wherever you put paint on wet paper, it's going to flow out and away. And it's going to flow to the edges of whatever water you've laid down. And we don't want hard edges in this. We want it to look like fuzzy fur. So extending your water beyond that will help prevent this so that the paint will stop flowing just before it hits a hard edge. At least that's the goal. All right, so you'll notice I created kind of these circle shapes with the water up here for where the ears are going to be. Okay, while it's still plenty wet, grab some brown. I'm going to take Transparent Brown Oxide by Daniel Smith and just drop it in, right around that muzzle. Just be brave here. Right there is the underside of the muzzle, and then I'm going to mark where the 2 ears are going to go, just with a ton of juicy paint right here. And then I'm going to create sort of this circular shape with my brush, outlining the outer edges of his head, but still staying within my wet areas. You'll notice immediately if you left any dry patches, but honestly, I like how that looks. It's okay if you accidentally miss some spots with your water, because it makes it look a lot more fun and impressionistic, like you were just dropping paint down really quickly, which is indeed what we're doing here. Now I'm taking some more brown and just increasing the value of the dark color here right along the muzzle and on the underside of the mouth. I want those to be the darkest values in this patch of dark fur under the head. It's still just exploding wildly all over the wet paper, which is so fun to see. That's my favorite thing about wet and wet. And of course, yours might look completely different. So if it goes through an ugly phase too, don't be discouraged. Just keep going. See it through to the end. I'm going to add a little bit of a fluffy mark here at the top. little patch of dark, kind of between where the eyes are going to go. Still controlling how much water's in my brush with my paper towel in hand. Then I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. You can use a yellow ochre, or I have Hansa yellow light here for more of a golden tone. I'm going to drop that in. Make sure that you're using this color in multiple places in the painting so that you create color harmony. Whenever you drop in some bright color, it's important to disperse it all throughout, unless it's a focal point or somewhere where you really want to draw attention. But in this case, I just want to boost the golden tone of our bear's fur. So I'm adding that in. I'm going to drop some of that in the muzzle. Notice the triangular shape between the two ears and the mouth. We haven't had to use any drawing yet. Okay, now I'm taking some indigo and ultramarine, swirling those around on my palette, and I'm going to drop that into the ears, right in the middle of the ears, suggesting the dark shadow shape of the inner ear, and just using the tip of my brush to create this fuzzy texture there. It's begun to dry quite a bit, so it's not flowing around as much as it would have at the beginning. Then I'm going to take a little more ultramarine, make sure I mix in a little bit of water, and then control it on my paper towel. And I'm going to apply this bluish color to the underside of his head, around the eyes. In fact, you can begin to suggest those eyes by creating this grayish blue bed for them. We will go back in with darker paint to paint those in more exact detail. And for now, you can do a first layer on the nose. So just paint a big circular shape. I'm going to remove some of that and paint with a lighter tone across the top. And to make it look more fresh and whimsical, it is important to leave some of the white of the paper showing in different areas of your painting. All right, I'm taking some more indigo and painting that dark color right under the nose and creating a little mouth. Notice I'm leaving a little sliver of light between the dark mouth and the dark brown under the mouth. I'm going to rinse some of that out, remove the excess on my paper towel, and then take some of that light bluish gray and paint it along the muzzle. You know, he looks like he has slashes for eyes right now, but that's okay. So that's still a little too wet, that we'll want to wait for it to dry a little more before we paint more specific details in the eyes. But for now, we could actually go in and paint the nostrils. To make black, I'm going to take indigo and mix it with my brown. You could also just use straight lamp black, which is what this color is in the corner here. But I like to mix my own black because I think it's more interesting. And I'm going to paint two little dark nostrils in the nose. Try to make them symmetrical, but if they're not perfect, that's totally okay. Okay. I think those might be dry enough. We'll have to see that we can paint the eyes. So let's go ahead and paint an almond shape, or a little upside down smile on one side. And then on the other. And those are the top of his eyes. That looks cute the way it is. I'm going to go ahead and paint the underside too, like that. And to make him look a little more lifelike, I'm going to make sure I leave a little highlight in there. Some of that brown first layer is still exposed. I'm rinsing that out so I have a lighter grayish brown or black on my brush. And I'm going to paint just a couple choice little details. Specific little hairs above the eye, under the eye. I'm going to rinse that out completely. Now, a really effective watercolor painting has a good combination of soft edges and then hard brush details. So to do that, I'm going to take some brown now And I'm going to add some of those specific brush strokes. We're going to do a couple right above his eye, right there, and another one on the other side, suggesting fluffy fur right there. And if it gets too detailed, you can always wash it out with some water so that it doesn't look quite so specific. But what we're doing is adding another layer over the top. It's a little brown around the eye here and here. I'm looking at my reference photo only loosely, just for a little bit of guidance here and there, but most of it is really just kind of coming from whatever I feel like painting and a little bit from imagination too. Now I'm just going to add one strong brown brush stroke right here and right here to kind of frame his face, almost give him this bow tie tuxedo effect. But there we go. There is our loosely painted brown bear. I hope you guys will give this one a try. It was so much fun to paint. This was an exercise in painting loosely, wet and wet, and it's really fun and easy. Grab your paints and I hope you guys will give it a try. If you do decide to try this project, please tag me on Instagram at eolsonart. I'll include a link with the photograph that I used in the description below. Check out these other videos about painting fur in watercolor and I'll see you there.